Hello everyone, my name is Lyndie Kelley, and today we're going to be discussing the mesmerizing food culture of Morocco. So my objectives for you today are that you'll understand how geography influences Moroccan cuisine. You'll recognize traditional Moroccan food and dishes. You'll learn a little bit about their eating patterns and habits, as well as discover the health benefits of a Mediterranean diet, which Moroccan food really goes hand in hand with that eating pattern. And you'll also gain an appreciation for the food traditions and customs of the people of Morocco. And hopefully you'll be as illuminated as this beautiful Moroccan lamp on the screen by the time that we're finished. So where in the world is Morocco? It's in the northwestern corner of Africa, and it's bordered by the Atlantic Ocean and a desert. So it's kind of pinned in between a really unique geographical location, and that comes into play a little bit later. We'll talk about that. The Atlas Mountains run right down the middle of the country, kind of like a spine, and they're home to a nomadic ethnic group called the Berbers, who have been in Morocco for a very, very, very long time, and have really been an integral piece to their cultural development, especially in regards to their cuisine. The Mediterranean Sea, Spain, and Portugal are also to the north of Morocco. They're only separated by the Strait of Gibraltar. And that really has played a big part in Moroccan cuisine and culture overall as well. Morocco was also controlled by France for a little bit, and that also plays in too. So it sits right at a cultural crossroads. If you see where this red circle pops up, you'll see Spain, Portugal, Morocco, Algeria, France even a little bit, some of the Mediterranean for sure. It kind of sits right in a hotbed of cultural exchange of ideas and goods over the years. It's right on the spice trade route, the Arabia North African spice trade route. So you'll notice that spices such as cinnamon, ginger, turmeric, saffron, cumin, star anise, sesame, for example, are all major players in Moroccan cuisine. And it's just because it sits right in this area where you've got trade ports from the ocean and ships, as well as the spice trade routes over the years. But it's certainly influenced overall by its proximity to Europe, the ocean, the Mediterranean Sea, and that trade route of spices. So what's in a traditional Moroccan meal? I'm sure these arrows look a little confusing at first, but as we start to go, hopefully it will help clear it up for you here. Bold spices, as we just mentioned, are a huge cornerstone of Moroccan food and cuisine. In fact, it's really one of the major players, overall. Nuts like almonds are also very important. Dates and prunes, fruits especially, that are native to the region, pop up in cuisine frequently. Vegetables are a huge piece of Moroccan cuisine as well. So here you see, some zucchini, cauliflower. There's a sweet potato as well. Couscous and, whole grains are very important as well. Honey is a natural sweetener that's used often. Starches, especially starchy vegetables like carrots and sweet potatoes are used. Vegetable broth is a huge piece as well. The Moroccans like to incorporate a lot of stews and soups in their meals. And of course, herbs are an important part as well of their daily diet. Traditional Moroccan meals are really social affairs, which is pretty neat. And the food is shared and enjoyed within family and friend circles as often as possible. The midday meal is really the most important, except for during Ramadan, which we'll discuss in a little bit, which is a religious holiday for most of the Muslim world, especially in Morocco. But the noon meal is the biggest usually of the day. And it's an important part of the culture that food is shared and common serving plates and bowls are utilized. So on the left here, you'll see a traditional tagine, which is basically a clay pot that's used to stew for a very long time. So the meat gets very tender and the juices kind of help everything envelop and make a really delicious meal. In the middle, you see what is called a tapas, or a shared salad plate. It's got some different dipping sauces and vegetables and olives and such, little condiments that you can put on your meal. And all the way to the right, you'll see a traditional sort of dessert bread that Moroccans will use and eat not only as dessert, but throughout the meal as well. And food, like I mentioned, is really celebrated in Morocco. So there are some specific types of food that are really important for specific situations. So fisa, which is this rice type dish right here with raisins and nuts, pops up especially when there's a new addition to the family. It's really considered a woman's dish, which is interesting, and gender plays a role here in Moroccan cuisine and culture for sure. But it's passed down within families from generation to generation, and whenever there's a new baby in the family, generally a woman will bring this meal to the other woman as a nourishing kind of meal and to celebrate the new addition. Shish kebabs, which we enjoy here in America as well, are actually a Berber food. They're traditional Berber food, and most Berber foods were slow roasted over hot coals, directly on coals, and were meant to be eaten while they moved, as well as shared, because they're a nomadic culture. So they had to make sure that their food was, something they could easily take with them that was portable. So shish kebabs and the yogurt sauce you see in that little picture are really something that people will use when they're out and about celebrating together. And then harira soup is something, it's kind of like a tomato soup that we enjoy here in America. And it's eaten all the time throughout the calendar year, but it's most popular during Ramadan, which is a Muslim holiday. And it requires a fast from sunrise to sunset. So they don't eat it all day from sunrise to sunset. But they do eat a big breakfast before sun rises, and they break their fast at the end of the day. So this meal can be used for breakfast or that break of the fast later in the day. And dates are almost always eaten at both ends, as they're a great energy source, and it's just a traditional thing that Moroccans do. And the soup is enjoyed at that time as well. So do as the Moroccans do. This is some little tidbits and interesting facts about how Moroccans enjoy their food and in different ways that they go about that. They generally will eat with their right hand. They are a hand-to-mouth culture, so they will eat with their hands frequently. They very rarely will use utensils, and there's a whole etiquette to how you go about doing that, and making sure that you wash your hands right before you eat, and that your host serves you before you eat, and you're using your thumb and your forefinger to pinch bread and scoop up dips and purees. Or as we'll see over on the right here, this person has made a couscous ball, which is evidently a very adept skill that most Moroccans learn very early on in life. Desserts and sweets are enjoyed almost by everyone. They're revered. It's a huge part of Moroccan cuisine. Mint tea is as close to a national drink as you can get in Morocco. It's ubiquitous, it's everywhere, and it accompanies most meals. But tea time, unlike maybe in England, for example, there isn't necessarily a set tea time, but it's a very social construct where people sit and enjoy and sip tea and discuss and all of those sorts of things. Vegetarian meals are a huge part of the cuisine. Even though protein is often incorporated, most of the meal is made of vegetables. Salads and dips and purees, as I mentioned, kind of eating with the hands earlier, are served at most meals as well. Baba ganoush is an example of that. Hummus as well. And Moroccans really enjoy hosting people for meals, whether it's their family and friends or, folks from away who are visiting. They are a very generous and hospitable culture when it comes to eating. So some of the healthy perks to eating a Mediterranean-based diet or Moroccan diet. One of the first things that is interesting, it's a bit more of a mental kind of capacity too, or mental health aspect of eating. It's called the spirit of El Baraka. And El Baraka is basically the idea of celebrating togetherness through food. And it's not necessarily unique to Morocco, but unique to the Muslim world. So as you can see, this family on the right here is really interesting. This is from a blog from a student who was traveling through Morocco, and he explains how impressed he was with just the generosity and the hospitality showed to him, and that spirit of El Baraka and celebrating togetherness. But Mediterranean-based diets have been proven to improve overall health in many ways, and especially the Moroccan diet is very healthy. High in healthy fats. They incorporate olives and olive oil into a lot of what they do. It's high in fiber with all of those vegetables, as well as vitamins and minerals. And whatever protein they do eat, for example, chicken, lamb, and seafood tend to be the three most popular, is usually very lean. So they're not dealing with kind of a high fat content and saturated fat level there. Like I mentioned a couple of times already, the meals are social events and can really increase enjoyment and reduce stress levels, and celebrate that spirit of togetherness. And I've already mentioned as well the hand-to-mouth eating. It's thousands of years old. It predates utensils, and it really is culturally significant throughout the world. Almost every culture throughout the world has some form of hand-to-mouth eating. For example, in America, we enjoy eating a hamburger with our hands. Most Moroccans just, again, tend to gravitate in that direction as well. So the Moroccan culture in the United States, the Moroccan immigrant group doesn't really constitute a huge population. Really, it's like 0.2% of the immigrant population. And most Moroccan immigrants to the U.S. are skilled professionals, and they're of working age. There's very few children and or elderly that immigrate initially. But one of the ways that Moroccan immigration kind of goes both ways is with exchange programs, both academic and through skilled professions. So, for example, the University of New England has a campus in Tangier, Morocco, and students can go study there for free as part of their normal tuition. And we also have students from Morocco, so here in Biddeford. It's really an interesting program that has taken off. And we've seen some great things come from that in terms of our students experiencing Moroccan culture, and vice versa. And interestingly, U.S.-based Moroccan chefs are attempting to modernize their cuisine, and really kind of bring about the new era, but they're also trying to respect the historical significance of the ingredients and the dishes. Something that's very interesting about Morocco is that most recipes are not passed outside of the family. They're passed down within generations in the family, but not shared outside of the family. They're very, very protective of their recipes, which I found very interesting. And Morocco's enlightened progressive mindset, it's kind of seen as a country where kind of anything goes in many constructs of the word, has really attracted lots of visitors and immigrants as well. So there actually is a significant population excuse me, of Europeans and Americans who go to Tangier, for example, or other Casablanca, other areas within Morocco where they can go visit and learn and take advantage of trading skills and professions too. And here within America, the highest populations or destinations for Moroccan immigrants tend to be New York City, Boston, and D.C. Those are the most popular locations here in America. So they have some really excellent, if you do a quick Google search of the best Moroccan food, those cities pop up. So my personal perspective as a future potential nutrition professional in regards to Moroccan cuisine is trying to, help prevent the Americanization of the Moroccan diet. One of the concerns, a few studies that I found, is that the Moroccan diet is tending towards fast food and high levels of salt intake and high carbohydrate consumption, which is something similar that we're seeing here in the U.S. And obviously, obesity rates are on the rise in both adolescents, children, and adults. So I think it's important to kind of honor the fact that the Moroccan diet in general is a very, very healthy version of eating. And I think that should be honored and kind of protected if we can. And so then continued encouragement of high fiber, lean protein, and healthy fat diet is really important. I already mentioned limiting salt intake and carbohydrate consumption. Again, they love their desserts, and bread is served with almost every meal. But everything in moderation, I think, is important to discuss with a client who may be of that ethnicity. And then, of course, cultural competency is always important. And when you're dealing with the Moroccan population, I think that it would be important to pay special attention to religious holidays. And Ramadan is just one of several, but it is, of course, their most important. It would be important to pay attention to their eating etiquette and their social expectations. For example, the hand-to-mouth eating and social gatherings and etiquette in terms of waiting for your host to serve you, for example. And then also understanding that respect is paramount for all peoples, but especially when dealing with someone of the Muslim faith, respecting their beliefs and their needs would be very important as well. So I would really value working with someone from that, area of the world. Thank you.